The rain hammered the tin roof of the old bookstore like 1,000 unspoken regrets. Each drop a reminder that some secrets refused to stay buried. Eva's thumb hovered over the send button, heart pounding in the dim glow of her phone screen. The poem she'd written in a haze of midnight confessions meant for no one but the shadows on her wall. But in that split-second slip, fueled by exhaustion and a glass too many of cheap bourbon, she hit reply to Clara's casual text about tomorrow's coffee run. And the words, "I ache for the curve of your silence, the way it wraps around me like kudzu in July," flew into the ether, landing like a grenade in the heart of their fragile normalcy. Clara's response came not in words, but in the 3 dots that danced for an eternity, then vanished, leaving Eva staring at the void, the storm outside mirroring the one clawing its way up from her gut. When the reply finally arrived, it was a single line that shattered the world they knew. "Eva, I've been waiting for you to say it first." Eva sat frozen on the sagging porch of her family's shotgun house on the edge of Monroe, Georgia, the kind of place where the air hung heavy with the scent of magnolias and unspoken judgments. The town was a patchwork of faded glory, Victorian mansions lining Elm Street for the old money families, and clapboard shacks like hers huddled near the railroad tracks, where the whistle's wail at midnight served as both lullaby and lament. At 28, Eva had returned here after a decade chasing dreams in Atlanta's bustling chaos, only to find the same invisible fences hemming her in. The church lady's sidelong glances, the whispers about that phase she'd supposedly outgrown in college. She worked shifts at the local library, shelving books that promised escape but delivered only echoes of her own isolation. Clara Beaumont had always been the sun to Eva's quiet moon. They met in high school, back when Monroe High's hallways smelled of floor wax and teenage desperation. Clara, the golden girl from the Beaumont estate, daughter of a cotton mill owner whose fortunes had withered with the boll weevils but whose name still commanded respect at the country club. Clara, with her easy laugh and sun-kissed freckles, captain of the cheer squad, dating the quarterback in a parade of predictable beaux. Eva, the artsy outsider, scribbling poetry in the margins of her history notes, her crushes hidden like contraband in the lining of her backpack. Their friendship bloomed in the unlikeliest soil. Late-night drives down back roads lined with peanut fields, sharing stolen sips from a thermos of sweet tea spiked with vodka, talking about everything and nothing. "You're the only one who sees me, Eva," Clara would say, her voice soft against the hum of cicadas, and Eva would swallow the truth that burned her throat, that she saw too much, wanted too fiercely. Clara married young, to a man named Harlan from the lumber yard. A union blessed by the preacher at First Baptist and sealed with a potluck reception where the deviled eggs outnumbered the guests. Eva stood as bridesmaid, her smile a mask, toasting to a future she couldn't imagine without Clara in it. Now, 5 years later, with Harlan's long hauls keeping him on the interstate more than home, Clara had taken to dropping by the library after her shifts at the boutique on Main Street. They'd linger over lukewarm coffee in the back room, Eva reading aloud from dog-eared paperbacks while Clara traced patterns on the scarred oak table, her wedding ring catching the light like a warning. It was in those moments that Eva's notebook filled with verses she never meant to share. Odes to the way Clara's hair fell like willow branches after a rain, or the quiet fire in her eyes when she spoke of dreams deferred, like opening a little cafe instead of folding linens for the tourists who flocked to Monroe for its authentic Southern charm. The poem had started as therapy, scribbled after a particularly brutal family dinner where her father, grizzled from years in the mill, had grumbled about folks these days forgetting their place. Eva had poured it out, the longing for a touch that wasn't just friendly, the terror of shattering the only anchor in her drifting life. She meant to save it as a draft, a private exorcism, but Clara's text, "Coffee tomorrow? Miss our talks," had come at 1 a.m. and in her fog Eva copied the wrong thread. The 3 dots had been agony, each pause a lifetime of what-ifs, and then that reply, "Eva, I've been waiting for you to say it first." It hung there unadorned, no emojis to soften the blow, no qualifiers to pull it back into safe waters. Eva's breath caught, the rain easing to a drizzle that pattered like hesitant footsteps on the porch boards. She typed back, fingers trembling. "What do you mean?" But the message sat unsent, her thumb paralyzed by the weight of possibility. Sleep evaded her that night, the house creaking like an old confessional. Dawn broke humid and gray, painting the pecan trees in her yard with a reluctant light. Eva dragged herself to the library, the routine a lifeline. Unlocking the heavy oak doors, flipping on the fluorescents that buzzed like judgmental bees, arranging the returns in their slots. The bell above the door tinkled at noon, and there was Clara, shaking rain from her umbrella, her sundress clinging just enough to stir the ache Eva had tried to bury. "Hey," Clara said, her voice steady but her eyes, those hazel pools that had haunted Eva's dreams, darting away then back, holding a question neither dared voice yet. Eva forced a smile, shelving a volume of Emily Dickinson with hands that betrayed her. "Rough morning. Storm kept me up." Clara nodded, leaning against the counter, the space between them charged like the air before thunder. "About last night. That poem. It was beautiful. Raw. Like you ripped your heart out and handed it over." Heat flooded Eva's cheeks, a blush that felt like exposure. "I didn't mean it was a mistake. Wrong chat. Forget it." But Clara stepped closer, her fingers brushing Eva's on the countertop, a touch that lingered a beat too long. "I don't want to forget it. Eva, I've read every word you've ever shared with me, even the ones you thought I missed. And this felt like truth." The library clock ticked louder in the silence, the world narrowing to the inch of space between their hands. Eva's pulse thrummed in her ears, a drumbeat of fear and hope. Outside, Monroe stirred to life. Trucks rumbling past the square, children laughing on the swings at the park, oblivious to the fault lines cracking beneath their feet. "Here in this sanctuary of stories," Eva whispered. "Clara, you know what this means. For us. For everything." Clara's gaze softened, a flicker of something vulnerable breaking through her poise. "I know. And I'm scared too. But what if? What if we've been lying to ourselves all this time?" They talked then in hushed tones amid the stacks, words tumbling like leaves in an autumn gale. Clara confessed the emptiness of her marriage, the way Harlan's affections had cooled to routine, leaving her adrift in a house too big for her solitude. "I thought it was what I wanted, the ring, the vows, the life everyone said was right. But with you, Eva, it's always felt like coming home." Eva listened, her heart a wild thing caged too long, as Clara described the quiet rebellions. Skipping church for sunrise walks by the river, hiding romance novels under her mattress that featured women who loved fiercely without apology. "Your poem. It was like you saw the parts of me I keep locked away. The girl who wondered back in high school what it would be like if we." The admission hung between them, fragile as spun glass. Eva reached out, tracing the line of Clara's jaw with a feather-light touch, the first deliberate bridge across their unspoken divide. Clara leaned into it, eyes closing, a sigh escaping like a prayer answered. For a moment the world outside, the judgmental eyes of Monroe, the weight of family expectations, faded to irrelevance. But as the afternoon waned, reality seeped back in. Harlan was due home that evening, his rig pulling into the driveway like clockwork. Clara pulled away gently, her fingers lingering on Eva's wrist. "Meet me tonight? By the old mill ruins after dark. We need to figure this out. Together." Eva nodded, the promise sealing something irrevocable. As Clara slipped out into the fading light, waving to old Mrs. Hargrove across the street, Eva sank onto a stool behind the counter, the poem's words echoing in her mind. What had begun as an accident now pulsed with the gravity of destiny, a thread pulling them toward uncharted waters. That evening, as twilight bled into night, Eva walked the winding path to the mill, the Chattahoochee River murmuring secrets to the willows. The ruins loomed like forgotten sentinels, their stone walls ivy-cloaked and whispering of industries long gone. She arrived first, heart hammering, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and possibility. Clara emerged from the shadows minutes later, her figure silhouetted against the moon's silver sheen on the water. No words at first, just the closing of distance, the tentative press of lips that tasted of salt and surrender. It was clumsy, born of years of restraint, but it ignited something primal, a fire that warmed the chill of doubt. They broke apart breathless, foreheads touching, Clara's whisper fierce. "This is us, Eva. Real. No more hiding." In that riverside embrace, Eva felt the stirrings of hope, a fragile bloom in the barren soil of her secrets. But even as joy bloomed, a shadow lingered, the knowledge that Monroe's watchful eyes would not yield easily, that love like theirs demanded a price. The days that followed blurred into a secret symphony, each stolen moment a note in a melody only they could hear. Eva and Clara carved out pockets of time amid the town's unyielding rhythm. Dawn jogs along the river trail where the mist cloaked their linked hands, late afternoon picnics in the overgrown cemetery where Confederate ghosts offered no judgment. Eva's poems shifted from solitary aches to shared anthems, verses whispered against Clara's skin in the cab of Eva's battered pickup, parked in forgotten clearings where the pines stood sentinel. Clara, for her part, shed layers of her old self like a snake's sloughing skin. She laughed freer, her eyes alight with a mischief Eva hadn't seen since their teenage escapades. "Watch this," she'd say, slipping a note into Eva's library satchel. A doodle of two figures dancing under stars, captioned "Our Waltz Uninterrupted." Harlan noticed the change, attributing it to the spring fever that gripped Monroe each March, his gruff affections unchanged, oblivious to the fault line widening beneath their marital bed. Eva's family home, a creaking relic of her grandmother's era, became a confessional for her inner turmoil. Her father, Amos, spent evenings on the porch swing, nursing a pipe and stories of the mill's heyday, his leathery hands gesturing at phantoms of prosperity. "World's gone soft, Eva girl," he'd mutter, eyes narrowing at the rainbow flag fluttering defiantly from the coffee shop on the square. "Folks forgettin' the good Lord's blueprint." Her mother Lila, softer but no less bound by scripture, would hum hymns while kneading biscuit dough, her prayers a subtle siege against Eva's unspoken sins. Eva confided nothing, of course. The weight of their expectations pressed like the humid air, thick and unrelenting. At night, alone in her childhood room with its faded wallpaper of climbing roses, she traced the ceiling cracks like maps to freedom, wondering how long she could straddle this divide before it swallowed her whole. One Saturday, under a sky bruised with thunderheads, Clara suggested they drive to Savannah, 2 hours east, where the city's historic squares and fog-shrouded alleys promised anonymity. "Just us," she said over the phone, her voice a conspiratorial hush. "No clocks, no prying eyes." Eva agreed, packing a duffel with sundresses and her notebook, the thrill of escape mingling with a gnawing dread. The coastal highway unfurled like a ribbon of possibility, Spanish moss draping the live oaks like veils at a forbidden wedding. They sang along to the radio, old soul tunes from Aretha and Etta, voices harmonizing in a way that felt prophetic. Savannah welcomed them with its labyrinth of cobblestones and wrought iron balconies, the air salted with marsh and memory. They wandered Forsyth Park, hands brushing as they fed crumbs to the pigeons, then ducked into a dimly lit cafe where jazz murmured from hidden speakers. Over glasses of muscadine wine, the conversation turned deeper, probing the scars beneath their joy. Clara spoke of her wedding day, the white lace choking her like a noose, the vows tasting of ash on her tongue. "I thought love was duty," she admitted, swirling the deep purple liquid. "Harlan's kind, steady. But it's like living in a house with all the windows painted shut. You forget what air feels like." Eva reached across the table, lacing their fingers, the candlelight flickering like shared secrets. "And now? With us." Clara's smile was bittersweet, a curve laced with longing. "It's terrifying. Beautiful. Like stepping off a cliff and finding wings." She paused, her thumb stroking Eva's knuckles. "But Harlan, he doesn't deserve this. The lies. And my family. The Beaumonts built this town on reputation. If they knew." The words trailed into silence, heavy as the storm brewing offshore. Eva felt the familiar twist of guilt, the poet's curse of seeing every angle. "We're not hurting anyone yet," she said softly, though the lie tasted bitter. "This is ours. A start." That night, in a boutique hotel overlooking the river, they crossed thresholds long imagined. The room was a cocoon of linen sheets and sea breezes through cracked windows, their bodies a language of rediscovery, tentative at first, then fervent, as if making up for years stolen by fear. Eva memorized the arch of Clara's back in the moonlight, the soft gasps that named her home. Afterward, tangled in damp linens, Clara murmured, "I could leave him. Start over. With you." The words hung like a dare, and Eva's heart soared even as doubt crept in. Monroe would crucify us. But Savannah? Or Portland, Oregon? Somewhere the world's a little wider. Clara nodded, but sleep claimed her with a sigh, leaving Eva awake, staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin. Freedom whispered, but so did caution. The Beaumont legacy, Harlan's quiet loyalty, the town's tapestry woven from threads of conformity. They returned Sunday evening, the highway now a tether pulling them back to reality. Monroe greeted them with its familiar hush, church bells tolling vespers, porch lights winking on like accusatory eyes. Clara dropped Eva at her door with a lingering kiss in the truck's cab, her whisper fierce. "This isn't a dream. We'll make it real." But Monday brought the first fracture. At the library, Eva overheard whispers from the knitting circle in the mystery section, Mrs. Hargrove's voice slicing through like a dull blade. "Heard Harlan Beaumont's wife been keepin' strange company. That library girl, the one with the queer books." Laughter followed, sharp as broken glass, and Eva's stomach knotted, the walls closing in. She texted Clara. "Town talk starting. Careful." The reply came swift. "Ignore them. We're stronger." Yet doubt festered. That evening Eva joined her parents for supper, fried okra and cornbread, the table a battlefield of small talk. Amos cleared his throat midway through, fork pausing. "Heard you been close with Clara Beaumont lately. Fine girl but married. Folks notice things." Eva's fork scraped her plate, the sound amplified in the tension. "Just friends, Dad. Like always." Lila's eyes softened, pleading. "We just want what's best, sugar. The right path." The meal ended in strained silence, Eva escaping to her room where the notebook mocked her with half-formed odes. She wrote feverishly. Lines of thorns and tempests, love as a river that drowned its banks. Across town, Clara faced her own inquisition, Harlan home early, his brow furrowed over a beer at the kitchen table. "You seem distant, darlin'. Everything all right?" Clara forced brightness, stirring gumbo with hands that shook. "Just tired. Work's busy." He nodded, trusting as ever, but the seed of suspicion took root. That night, alone in their king-sized bed, Clara wept silent tears into her pillow, the weight of duplicity crushing her chest. She reached for her phone, typing to Eva. "I can't lose you. But God help me, I can't lose myself either." Eva's reply was a lifeline. "One day at a time. I love you." The words, once accidental, now anchored them. But as spring deepened, so did the shadows, the encroaching whispers, the pull of loyalties, the inexorable tide of consequence. In the library's quiet hours, Eva found solace in the archives, dusty volumes of local history chronicling Monroe's sins. The mill strikes of '32, the hidden speakeasies during Prohibition, tales of love affairs that scandalized the pews. One yellowed clipping caught her eye. A photograph of two women arm in arm at a long-forgotten fair, their smiles defiant. The caption, "Sisters in Spirit." Eva traced their faces, wondering if history offered absolution or only repetition. Clara, meanwhile, began small acts of defiance. Donating to the local shelter under Eva's name, slipping progressive pamphlets into her boutique bags for like-minded customers. But the town's pulse quickened with rumor, a undercurrent swelling toward flood. One humid afternoon, as Eva sorted returns, the door burst open with uncharacteristic force. Harlan stood there, hat in hand, his face a map of confusion and hurt. "Eva, need a word." "About Clara." The world tilted, the books tumbling from her arms like fallen soldiers. This was the reckoning, the storm breaking at last. Harlan's boots scuffed the library rug, leaving faint mud tracks that Eva's eyes fixed on, as if they were the only stable thing in the room. He was a broad man, built like the oak logs he hauled, his flannel shirt straining at the shoulders, face weathered by road dust and unexamined routines. At 32, he carried the weight of provision like a badge, his love for Clara a steady flame, unqueered until now. "Eva," he started, voice low to avoid the echo off the high ceilings. "Clara's been off, smilin' more but jumpy, like she's carryin' a secret. And folks are talkin', sayin' you two been thick as thieves." He shifted, hat twisting in his calloused hands. "I ain't accusin', just worried. She's my wife." The word landed like a stone in still water, ripples of guilt spreading through Eva's chest. She straightened, summoning the poise of her poetry readings at the county fair. "Harlan, Clara's her own woman. We talk about books, dreams, the small things that keep life from grinding us down. That's all. He searched her face, blue eyes earnest, the kind that trusted too easily. I know you care for her. Always have. But marriage. It's vows, Eva. Sacred. If there's something brewin', tell me straight. For her sake. Eva's throat tightened, the air thick with the scent of aged paper and betrayal. She thought of Clara's confessions in Savannah, the way her body had arched under Eva's touch like a bowstring released. There's nothing to tell, she lied, the words ash on her tongue. She's lucky to have you. Harlan nodded slowly, relief flickering across his features, but doubt lingered in the set of his jaw. Appreciate it. Keep an eye, yeah? Love her fierce, that one. He tipped his hat and left, the bells jangle a mocking chime. Eva sank into a chair, head in hands, the encounter a harbinger. She texted Clara. Harlan was here. Asking questions. The reply buzzed immediate. What did you say? Eva typed back. Nothing. But it's closing in. That evening they met at the river's bend, the water's rush a counterpoint to their hushed urgency. Clara arrived disheveled, hair escaping its pins, eyes red-rimmed. He asked me too, casual over dinner. Eva seem all right. I nearly choked on my peas. She paced the bank, skirts whipping in the breeze. We're fools, Eva. This town's a sieve. Nothing stays hidden. Eva pulled her close, arms a bulwark against the wind. Then we go public. Or we go away. Portland, I've got savings, a cousin there with a spare room. We start fresh. Clara's laugh was bitter, wind-torn. And leave what? My Nalma, my Ruits? Mama would disown me. Daddy's estate would crumble under the scandal. And Harlan, he's blameless in this. Tears spilled hot on Eva's collarbone. I hate this cage. But it's mine. The argument simmered into night, words like embers flaring and dying. Eva pleaded for boldness, Clara for caution, their voices tangling in the dark until exhaustion claimed them, bodies entwined on a blanket under the stars. Dawn found them resolute in compromise, deeper secrecy but with an escape plan etched in whispers, funds siphoned quietly, routes mapped to the coast. Back in Monroe, the pressure mounted like a gathering squall. Eva's father cornered her after church, the sanctuary's stained glass casting kaleidoscopic warnings on the vestibule floor. Heard Harlan Beaumont sniffin' around. You stirrin' pots, girl. Amos's voice was gravel laced with old fears. This town's got rules. Break 'em and you're adrift. Eva met his gaze, steel in her spine. Rules change, Dad. Or they break people. Lila intervened, hand on her arm. Hush now. We love you, Eva. Just be careful. Their concern was a noose, tightening with every sidelong glance from the congregation, widows murmuring behind fans, deacons nodding knowingly. Clara fared no better. At the boutique, customers lingered longer, their chatter laced with barbs. Such a shame about Harlan, good man, wasted on whispers. One afternoon her mother, Eloise Beaumont, swept in unannounced, pearls clutched like talismans. Darling, the garden club's abuzz. You and that friend of yours, Eva, isn't it? The one with the unnatural leanings. Clara's hand stilled on the cash register, blood roaring in her ears. Mother, Eva's like family. And unnatural? That's ugly talk from you. Eloise's lips thinned. A fortress of propriety. Ugly is the truth, Clara. We're Beaumont's, legacy matters. Divorce Harlan? Over. Whatever this is. You'd ruin us all. She left with a rustle of taffeta, the door slamming like a verdict. Clara called Eva that night, voice cracking over the line. Mama knows. Or suspects. God, Eva, it's suffocating. They met in the old chapel ruins on the town's outskirts, a crumbling relic from the antebellum days. Its pews rotted but the altar enduring. Moonlight slanted through broken windows, illuminating Clara's face as she paced. I can't breathe here. But leaving. It's betrayal squared. Eva knelt before her, taking her hands. Betrayal of what? A life scripted by others? We deserve more. She pulled Clara down, their kiss a defiant sacrament, bodies yielding on the cool stone floor amid dust motes and echoes. Passion crusted, then ebbed into quiet vows. 2 months. Eva murmured, tracing constellations on Clara's skin. We save, we plan, we vanish at midsummer. Clara nodded, resolve hardening. Agreed. No more half measures. Yet fate, capricious as the river's bend, had other designs. The next week, during a town fair, booths of funnel cakes and bluegrass fiddles, Eva spotted Harlan across the green, his arm around Clara in a picture of domestic bliss. But Clara's eyes met Eva's over the crowd, a silent plea laced with apology. Later, in the shadows of the Ferris wheel, Clara slipped away, pressing a wildflower into Eva's palm. He proposed a second honeymoon. To mend things. I said yes, to buy time. Jealousy flared, sharp as Spanish needles, but Eva swallowed it. Time for what? For him to win. Clara's face crumpled. For us to be ready. Please trust me. Trust frayed thread by thread. Eva wandered home alone, the fair's lights mocking her solitude, the poetry in her pocket now stained with doubt. Days blurred into a tense ballet. Clara doubled her shifts, funneling pay into a hidden account. Eva sold heirloom jewelry at a pawnshop in Macon. The clerks pity a barb. Their meetings grew rarer, charged with urgency. Kisses like farewells, touches mapping routes of escape. Then the blow. A letter arrived at the library, slipped under the door like a serpent's tongue. Anonymous, typed on plain stock. We see you, sinner. Repent or be exposed. For her sake. Eva's hand shook as she read, the words a noose around her neck. She burned it in the sink, flames devouring the threat, but the smoke lingered, acrid as fear. She confronted Clara at their next rendezvous, the riverbank now a site of siege. Someone knows. A note warning us off. Clara paled, scanning the treeline. Harlan? Mama? God, Eva, we can't. We can. Eva insisted, gripping her arms. This proves it. We leave now. Tonight. Panic warred in Clara's eyes, loyalty fracturing. I need to tell him first. Face to face. It's the only way to be clean. The argument erupted, voices rising over the water's roar. Accusations of cowardice, pleas for mercy. Clara stormed off, leaving Eva alone with the current's relentless flow, tears mingling with spray. That night, Harlan found Clara packing. Not for escape but confrontation. In their kitchen, lit by the harsh bulb over the sink, she confessed fragments. I love someone else. It's over. Harlan's face shattered, pleas tumbling. We can fix this, darlin', counseling time away. But Clara held firm, the lie of omission a shield. No names, no truths, just the end. Word spread like kudzu by dawn, divorce papers filed, the Beaumont name tarnished. Eva waited for Clara's call, hope flickering. Instead, Eloise appeared at the library, eyes blazing. You. This is your doing. Stay away from my daughter, or I'll see you run out of Monroe like the trash you are. The threat landed, but Eva stood tall. Love isn't trash, Mrs. Beaumont. It's the only truth worth fighting for. As Eloise left, Clara's text arrived. It's done. Meet me at the mill. We're free. Relief flooded Eva, but so did foreboding, the storm's eye calm before chaos. The mill ruins that night were a cathedral of shadows. The rivers song a choral underscore to their reunion. Clara arrived at a run, flinging herself into Eva's arms, sobs racking her frame. I told him. Not everything, just enough. He cried, Eva. Begged. But I walked away. Her voice broke, raw with the cost. For us. Eva held her, rocking gently, the stone walls absorbing their whispers. You're brave. Braver than me. They sank to the ground, bodies entwining in a tangle of desperation and triumph. The air electric with release. Love, once tentative, now roared. A bonfire defying the encroaching dark. But dawn brought the backlash, a tidal wave crashing over Monroe. By breakfast, the town square buzzed like a hive disturbed. At the diner, truckers muttered over eggs. In the beauty parlor, scissors snipped sharper with each scandalous syllable. Beaumont girl leave in Harlan? For that library queer, mark my words. Eva heard it filtering through the library's vents, patrons fewer but stares bolder, their judgments a palpable chill. Amos confronted her at noon, bursting through the door with Lila trailing, faces thunderous. What in hell have you done, Eva? His voice boomed, scattering a mother and child from the children's corner. Clara Beaumont's walking out on a good man, and tongues are wagging your name. You drag us into this filth. Eva's knees buckled against the circulation desk, the weight of lineage crushing. Dad, it's not. Not what? Lila interjected, tears streaking her powder. We raised you better. Church-goin', God-fearin'. This abomination. Folks say you're the reason. Tunin' her. The words slice deep, evoking old wounds, the college expulsion whispers, the solitary holidays when family prayers turn to pity. Eva straightened, voice steady despite the quake within. Love isn't abomination, Mama. It's human. And Clara chose her path. Amos's fist slammed the counter, rattling the dewy decimals. Path to ruin. We'll have no part. Pack your things out by sundown. He stormed out, Lila following with a final, anguished glance. Eva stood amid the silence, the library's tomes mocking her isolation. Stories of heroines who triumphed, yet here she was exiled in her own narrative. She called Clara, voice hollow. Kicked out. Parents know. Clara's reply was swift, laced with fury. Meet at my place. We'll leave now, screw the plan. The Beaumont estate loomed on the hill, a white-columned sentinel of faded aristocracy, its lawns manicured to perfection masking the rot within. Clara answered the door in disarray, boxes half-packed, wedding photos face down on the mantel. Harlan had left for his brothers, dignity in tatters, the house echoing with absence. They worked in frantic tandem, stuffing suitcases with essentials. Clara's grandmother's locket, Eva's notebook swollen with their story. Portland, Clara affirmed, taping a box. Rainy days, coffee shops, no one knowing our ghosts. But interruption came with tires crunching gravel. Eloise, flanked by two church elders, their Bibles clutched like weapons. Clara Marie, what is this madness? Eloise's voice cracked the air, advancing like a general. Divorcing Harlan over her. In my house. Clara stepped forward, chin lifted. Mama, it's over. I love Eva. That's the truth you've ignored all my life. The elders gasped, one muttering psalms under his breath. Eloise's face contorted, shock yielding to scorn. Love? This perversion? The Beaumont name ends here. No inheritance, no home. You're dead to us. Clara recoiled as if slapped, but Eva interceded, hand on her shoulder. Mrs. Beaumont, your daughter's stronger than your prejudices. Let her go, or lose her forever. Eloise's retort was ice. She's already lost. And you vagabond poets stirring discord. Leave Monroe, or we'll make sure no town welcomes you. The trio departed, leaving a wake of condemnation. Clara collapsed against Eva, the dam breaking. Everything gone. For what? Eva cupped her face fierce. For us. For a life unchained. They fled then, suitcases tumbling into the pickup, Monroe receding in the rearview. A blur of steeples and secrets. The drive north was a gauntlet of grief and grit. They stopped in dingy motels off I-85, bodies seeking solace in neon-lit transients, but sleep evaded, haunted by what-ifs. Clara confessed over lukewarm diner coffee. Harlan called. Wants to fight the divorce, says he'll change. Part of me wonders if I broke something irreparable. Eva's jealousy resurfaced, a serpent uncoiling. And us? Was that a whim too? Clara's hand covered hers, earnest. No. You're my awakening. But guilt. It's a thief. They pressed on, crossing into Virginia's rolling hills, where the air lightened, whispers of freedom in the wind. In a Roanoke cafe, Clara sketched cafe ideas on napkins. Beaumont brews, Southern soul with a twist, her spirit flickering back. Eva read aloud from her notebook verses of rebirth. Rivers carving canyons, love's outlasting storms. Yet Portland loomed as promise and peril. Eva's cousin, Maeve, welcomed them into her craftsman bungalow in the Alberta Arts District, walls alive with murals and the scent of patchouli. Stay as long as you need, Maeve said, hugging them fiercely, her own rainbow pins a badge of solidarity. This city's a mosaic, queer as they come. Portland unfolded like a dream deferred. Powell's city of books, a labyrinth of possibility, where Eva found gigs reciting poetry at open mics. Food cart pods where Clara experimented with gumbo-infused tacos, her smile returning with each curious customer. They rented a tiny apartment above a tattoo parlor. Its windows framing Mount Hood's snowy crown. Nights filled with slow dances to Joan Baez records. For weeks it was idle. Walks along the Willamette, hands unhidden. Brunches with Maeve's circle, stories swapped like currency. Eva's words flowed freer. A chapbook submitted to a local press. Clara enrolled in culinary classes, her apron dusted with flour and hope. But fractures lingered. Letters arrived from Monroe. Harlan's pleading reconciliation. Eloise's, a curt disinheritance notice. Amos called once, voice gruff. "Come home, Eva. This phase'll pass." She hung up, tears scalding the South's pull a phantom limb. Clara withdrew on those nights, staring at the rain-lashed panes. I missed the river. The ease of pretending. Arguments sparked. Eva accusing escapism, Clara defending roots. "You don't get it," Clara snapped one stormy evening, thunder rumbling like Amos's wrath. "I torched my world for this. For you." Eva recoiled, hurt blooming. "And I didn't? My family's no less poisonous." The fight escalated, words as weapons. Betrayals unearthed, insecurities flayed. Clara hurled Eva's notebook across the room. "Your pretty words don't pay the rent on regret." Pages scattering like wounded birds. Silence fell, heavy as the downpour. Eva gathered the sheets, voice small. "I thought we were building something unbreakable." Clara sank to the floor, defeated. "We are. But scars don't fade overnight." Reconciliation came tentative, bodies bridging the chasm, but trust, once cracked, webbed with doubt. Eva began solo walks in Forest Park, ferns whispering solace, questioning if love could outrun its baggage. Then the past clawed back. A package arrived, Clara's locket returned by Eloise with a note. "Blood calls to blood. Come home alone." Inside, a photo of Harlan smiling, oblivious. Clara wept, clutching it. "He deserves better. Maybe I do too." Eva's world tilted. The high of Portland souring to vertigo. "What are you saying?" Clara's eyes haunted. "I don't know. But this. It's not the escape I dreamed." The rift widened, a crevasse swallowing their fragile peace. Eva poured her anguish into verse, lines of tempests and traitors, performing them at a dimly lit bar to massed applause. Back home, Clara waited with packed bags, not for Monroe but undecided. Dawn broke with ultimatum. "Choose, Clara. Us or the ghosts." Clara's whisper shattered. "I choose me. And right now that's leaving for a while." She departed that afternoon, bus ticket to Seattle promising space, not end. Eva stood at the station, rain mingling with tears, the platform emptying like her heart. Alone in the apartment, echoes mocked. Maeve's concerned calls, the chapbook's rejection slip. Eva walked the bridges, Willamette's flow a mirror to her turmoil. Love's accident birthing chaos, reply unraveling all. Months blurred. Gigs sustaining her, poetry a salve. Letters from Clara sporadic. Healing. Miss you. Harlan's divorce finalized quietly. Monroe's scandal fading to footnote. One crisp autumn eve, as leaves turned Portland gold, a knock echoed. Clara stood there, windswept, eyes clear. "I'm ready. If you are." Eva pulled her in, the door closing on doubt. But in that embrace she wondered. Was this rebirth or reckoning deferred? Portland's relentless drizzle became the rhythm of their fragile recommitment, each drop a test of resolve. Clara returned not as the fugitive bride, but a woman reforged. 3 months in Seattle's embrace had stripped her illusions, therapy sessions in a waterfront clinic peeling back layers of conditioned shame. "I saw myself," she told Eva over takeout pho in their apartment, steam curling like confessions. "Not the Beaumont daughter, not Harlan's wife. Just Clara. And she wants this, us fiercely." Eva listened, walls tentatively lowering but scars ached. The abandonment's echo, the night she'd paced rain-slick streets, notebook sodden with unsent pleas. "I want to believe," she admitted, chopsticks idle. "But trust. It's a bridge half-burned." Clara nodded, no defensiveness, only the quiet work of repair. They rebuilt deliberately. Date nights at indie theaters screening films of defiant loves. Carol's stolen glances, portraits' raw yearnings, emerging hand in hand, the city's queer pulse affirming their steps. Clara landed a sous chef gig at a farm-to-table spot in the Pearl District, her southern twists on risotto earning nods. Eva's chapbook found a small press, its title Kudzu Hearts, a nod to roots reclaimed. Yet Monroe's tendrils reached north. Harlan wrote once more, not pleading but poignant. I forgive you, Clara. Hope you find peace. Monroe misses its light. Clara read it aloud, voice steady, then burned it in the sink, ashes swirling down the drain like exorcised ghosts. Eloise's silence was louder, a void Eva filled with imagined maledictions. Eva's own family fractured further. Lila called sporadically, voice tentative. Your daddy's poorly, Eva. Milkoff. Come see him. Amos refused her visits, pride a bulwark, but in dreams, Eva wandered the shotgun house, his pipe smoke a bridge to forgiveness deferred. The real storm brewed in Clara's hesitations, nights when she'd wake gasping, murmuring Harlan's name in sleep, or flinch at rainbow flags on parade routes, echoes of small-town scorn. What if we're just rebelling? She'd whisper post-argument, bodies cooling. What if it's not real? Eva's retorts sharpened, poetry turning barbed. Verses of tempests unchecked, loves that devoured. One evening, after a botched anniversary dinner, Clara forgetting the date amid a double shift, the dam broke. You're here but not, Eva accused, wine glass shattering on the hardwood. Still half in Monroe, chasing approval you'll never get. Clara fired back, eyes flashing. And you're so pure? Your poems romanticize our pain but you run from yours. Won't call your folks, won't face the mess we left. The fight raged, furniture shoved, voices raw. I left everything for you, Clara cried. Family, home. And I was collateral. Eva shouted, the truth erupting. Kicked out alone while you healed in Seattle. That was betrayal, Clara. Plain. Silence crashed, Clara's face paling. She grabbed her coat, doors slamming into the night. Eva collapsed, sobs racking, the apartment a tomb of what-ifs. Hours later, Clara returned, drenched, eyes swollen. You're right. I ran then and now. But I'm staying. Fighting. They clung, apologies a litany, bodies mending what words rent. Healing accelerated with communal roots. Maeve introduced them to a support circle. Lesbian elders sharing war stories of Stonewall echoes in the South, younger activists plotting pride floats. At one gathering in a converted warehouse, Eva recited Kudzu Hearts, voice trembling. Lines of vines that bound yet liberated, loves that choked then freed. Applause thundered, Clara's pride a bomb, their hands clasped under the table. Clara's growth mirrored. She hosted pop-up suppers, infusing gumbo with foraged mushrooms, naming dishes after Eva's poems, Silence's Curve. A bisque of smoked tomato and longing. Customers, a tapestry of Portland's eccentrics, became allies. Tattooed baristas slipping tips, bookstore owners stocking Eva's book. But the past's claw marks deepened when news hit. Amos's diagnosis, stage 3, the mill's legacy in his lungs. Lila's call was a plea. He asks for you, Eva. In his fever, your name. Clara urged the trip. Go. Close the circle. I'll hold here. Eva flew south, Portland's embrace traded for Monroe's vice. The town had mellowed slightly. A new coffee shop with ally stickers, whispers softer, but eyes still tracked her rental car up the drive. Lila met her at the door, frail in her housecoat, hugged tentative. He's waitin'. Amos lay in the master bedroom, oxygen mask hissing, eyes sunken but sharp. Eva girl, he rasped, hand extended. Heard your words, made a book. Proud even if I can't say it right. Tears blurred, Eva knelt. Daddy, I. He squeezed, weak but firm. No sorries. Life's crooked path. I was blind, church work fear. But you bloomed fierce. Love who you love. That's grace. The confession unlocked floods. Stories of his own hidden doubts. A college crush buried under duty. They talked till dusk. Amos's breaths labored but lightened. Bring that Clara sometime. Show an old mule new grass. Eva left with peace stitched if ragged. Back in Portland, she shared it with Clara over cider at a rooftop bar. City lights winking approval. He sees me. Us. Clara's smile was sunlit. Then let's build on that. Winter yielded to spring, their bond a resilient weave. Eva's readings drew crowds, Clara's supper sold out. They adopted a rescue mutt, named Kudzu, its wagging tail a daily affirmation. Yet climax loomed in subtlety. Eloise's unannounced arrival, stepping off a plane into Portland's fog, a dress gleaned from a careless postcard. She appeared at the apartment door, pearls impeccable, face a mask of resolve. "Clara, we need to talk." Clara froze mid-stir of rue, Eva hovering like a shield. "Mama, how?" "Doesn't matter. I'm here to bring you home." Eloise's gaze flicked to Eva, disdain veiled. "This experiment. It's cost us all. Harlan's broken, the family's splintered. End it." Clara's ladle clattered, fire in her stance. "Home? Monroe was a prison. This is life. Eva's my life." Eloise's composure cracked, voice pleading. "Darling, think of legacy." "Legacy of lies?" Clara countered. "I choose truth. And if you can't leave." The standoff stretched, Eloise's eyes darting to the photos on the fridge, their hands intertwined, to Kudzu's wagging welcome. Something shifted, a thaw. I read your clippings. The food, the words. Success. A pause, brittle. Proud. But scared for you." Clara softened, bridging the gap. "Scared's okay. Join us sometime. See." Eloise nodded, tentative, hugging stiffly before departing. No promises, but a door cracked. The encounter stirred Eva's depths, old fears of rejection flaring. That night, doubts surfaced. What if she sways you back to safety? Clara pulled her close, unwavering. "Never. You're my compass." Summer solstice brought peak. A joint event, Clara's supper club featuring Eva's reading. The venue, a sun-dappled garden brimmed with patrons. Eva took the mic, voice soaring. Odes to accidents turned fate, replies that remade worlds. Clara watched, eyes shining, their love the poem's pulse. Applause crested, but in the afterglow a call from Lila. "Your daddy. He's gone, Eva. Peaceful. Wanted you to know." Grief crashed, Eva crumpling into Clara's arms amid the crowd. "He forgave." At the end, Clara held her through the sobs. "And you forgave. That's the victory." They flew south for the funeral, Monroe subdued under July heat. The service was small family pew, hymns subdued. Amos's casket, simple pine, bore a sprig of magnolia. Eva spoke, eulogy woven with poetry. "He taught me roots run deep but branches reach free." After Harlan approached, hand extended. "Sorry for your loss. And for everything. No bitterness, only quiet healing." Clara stood sentinel, her presence a statement. Whispers rippled, but fewer, softer. Back in Portland, morning mingled with momentum. Eva's book launch, Clara's first full menu. Love tested emerged tempered. Not flawless but forged. Yet betrayal's shadow lingered in unexpected form. Maeve over wine one night confessed. "I told Eloise where you were. Thought it might mend." Hurt stab, trust breached anew. Eva confronted, voice steady. "Why?" Maeve teared up. "Family. I saw your pain, wanted to help." Clara mediated, grace extending. "Intent matters. Forgive." Reluctant, Eva did the circle mending. But it underscored fragility, alliances shifting, secrets cost. As autumn gilded the leaves, they hiked Multnomah Falls, mist veiling their vows renewed. "Through storms we stand." Portland, once refuge, now home. Love's accident evolved, reply a revolution. The fall's thunderous cascade drowned doubts, water prisming sunlight into rainbows that arced like benedictions over Eva and Clara's clasped hands. At the trail's crest, breathless from the climb, they paused on a basalt outcrop, the Columbia Gorge unfolding below, a vastness mirroring their journey's expanse. From Monroe's mud to this, Clara marveled, wind tousling her hair. Who knew an accident could lead here? Eva smiled, tracing the scar on Clara's palm from a kitchen mishap months back. A reminder of labors shared. Your reply. That changed the map. They kissed then, slow and sure, the world a witness to their quiet triumph. Fall deepened Portland's charms. Harvest markets brimming with squash and stories. Bonfires in the parks where queer choirs sang anthems of survival. Eva's kudzu hearts climbed local bestseller lists. Readings drawing Southern expats who wept at lines evoking home's hauntings. You gave voice to my silence. One woman confided post-event, her drawl a bridge to reconciliation. Clara's venture blossomed into Willow Bend Kitchen, a cozy spot in the Hawthorne district. Exposed brick walls hung with Eva's prints, menu fusing low-country soul with Pacific Northwest bounty, shrimp and grits with wild salmon, pecan pie laced with lavender. Critics praised its tender authenticity, but for Clara, success was the regulars, a trans teen sketching menus, an elder couple toasting their own 50th year. Their life wove domestic rhythms. Mornings with Kudzu's eager paws on floorboards, brewing chicory coffee while plotting expansions. Evenings curled on the couch, Clara's head in Eva's lap as poetry unfurled. Intimacy evolved, less urgent, more profound, touches mapping souls as much as skin. Yet humaneness demanded reckoning with the broken. Lila visited in November, Portland's chill a stark foil to George's bomb. Eva met her at the airport, hug awkward but warming. Your place, it's you, Lila said over tea, eyeing the bookshelves groaning with queer-lit and family photos, Amos's grin prominent. He'd approve. Clara joined for dinner, tension thawing over cornbread. Missed your cooking, Mrs. Thibodeau, Clara ventured. Lila's smile crinkled. Call me Lila, child. And I'm learnin'. Church group study and love real love, not the narrow kind. Tears brimmed. Forgive an old fool? Eva's throat tightened. Already did, Mama. The visit mended threads. Lila returning with a jar of fig preserves, promises of holiday cards. Monroe, through her, softened, whispers to well wishes, a library donation in Amos's name. Harlan's olive branch came circuitously. A care package to the restaurant, Monroe honey a note. Heard your food's magic. Glad you're happy. Clara framed the card, not as relic but release. Eloise's thaw was slower, a Christmas letter arriving tentative. Saw your review in Southern Living. Impressive. Perhaps a visit. Clara replied with an invite, no pressure. Spring brought her. Stiff at first, pearls clashing with the cafe's vibe, but sampling a toffee she softened. Reminds me of your grands. To Eva. You make her shine. No full embrace but progress. A phone call monthly, questions about recipes veiling curiosity. Betrayal's echoes faded, transmuted to lessons. Maeve's slip became anecdote, strengthening boundaries. Past abandonments, fuel for empathy. Eva's new collection, Replies echo, delve deeper. Prose poems of forgiveness's fragility, society's slow bend toward grace. Climax crested not in storm but awakening. Pride weekend, Portland ablaze in color. They marched Clara's banner Love's Accident. A revolution. Eva reciting amid floats. A heckler from the sidelines, tourist voice slurred hurled slurs. Go back to your trailer trash sins. Crowd hushed but Clara wheeled eyes blazing. Sins? Loving openly, that's salvation. Yours is hate. Eva pulled her back, but the moment ignited cheers, the march surging. Back home, adrenaline ebbed to reflection. I stood up, Clara marveled, kudzu at their feet. For us. For all the Claras still hiding. Eva nodded, pride swelling. That's the change. Not just ours, the ripple. Summer solstice circled back. Anniversary marked at Multnomah anew. They spread a picnic, gumbo, poetry, wine as dusk fell. Eva read a new piece. From accidental verse to deliberate verse we scripted our stars. No more straight lines, our path curves wild, unashamed. Clara teared up, toasting. To replies that remake worlds. Night deepened, stars pricking the canopy. They made love under the vastness, bodies a testament to endurance. Gentle, fervent, whole. Epilogue whispers in quiet growth. Willow Bend expanded, a second location. Eva's tour hit Atlanta, Monroe cheering from afar. Lila danced at their commitment ceremony. A backyard affair with magnolia wreaths and Joan Baez strumming. Eloise attending, tentative toast in hand. Harlan sent a gift. A hand-carved riverstone engraved peace. Years on, Eva and Clara sat porch swings in their own bungalow. Kudzu's successor at heel, grandchildren. Adopted, rainbow bright, chasing fireflies. Stories retold. The poem, the reply, the flight. Accidents birth miracles. Eva would say, Clara's hand in hers. Monroe faded to fond memory, its standards challenged by their example. A library wing named for Amos, promoting diverse voices. Beaumont scholarships for queer youth. Society's maw, once gaping, yielded to nuance. Prejudices cracked, not shattered but light-seeping. In the end, their love, dramatic, emotional, romantic, humane, stood as testament. Humans clash with norms but in yielding evolve. The accident that sparked it all? A poem's errant flight, a reply's bold landing, changing not just them, but the world's quiet chorus. From Am I Longing to Chao Treo confrontation, Tanvio isolation to Jai Thote unity, their arc whispered. Freedom is an absence of chains, but the courage to forge your own. And in that forging, grace for all.